Last Night in Soho is an ambitious thriller horror movie that falls a little short. 7.3 on IMDb, 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think those scores are fair. I myself wouldn't go that high. I know it's the start of the video, but I'd give it about a 6 out of 10. I'm kinda in between on this movie. If I dislike a film, I won't recommend it and do a pretty detailed review of the story and what I didn't like personally and basically spoil the whole thing for you so you don't have to watch it. If it's the opposite, the review is shorter and I highlight some points, and honestly on this one you're gonna have to go decide for yourself, but I'll attempt to do both here. The non-spoiler review is that this is a film that will reel you into a fascinating time period known as the swinging 60s in London. This is a British psychological horror film. You will watch Ellie Turner in present day find her way to a fashion school in London. She's obsessed with the time period and it influences her fashion designs. However, the lingering memory of her late mother mixed with a room that has not been updated from the 60s has created an interesting combination of Ellie experiencing hyper-realistic dreams that are actually the memories of a young striking woman from the 60s named Sandy, played by Anya-Taylor. You'd remember her from The Queen's Gambit. At first, Ellie is fascinated by the supernatural events ongoing in her REM sleep. She is simultaneously seeing Sandy's life from a third and first person perspective. She's able to feel and breathe in the atmosphere around her. If you've seen the movie Nightmare on Elm Street, you know where this is going. What follows is a movie that I feel goes on a bit too long, that attempts to take a realistic stab at what Nightmare on Elm Street did by living through the life of Sandy, who begins a dark descent into the world of singing while meeting a charming but strange man. Ellie will have to live these events at nighttime while attempting to live in the shallow world of present day, filled with mean girls and iPhones. If that interests you and you have 2 hours to spare, feel free to catch this one in theaters if you can, because the spoilers start here. Last Night in Soho succeeds in immersion. The first dream sequence early in the film shows amazing cinematography, blending Sandy's vibrant past with Ellie's movements simultaneously. The majority of the cast, especially those acting in the 60s time period, are amazing at drawing you into their world. The classic mean girls are even forgivable because of their additional depth and added into their shallowness by showing what actually motivates that. There isn't a character I dislike due to writing. The issue with the film itself truly comes down to how ambitious it is and how you feel about it. To me, it felt like this movie had a variety of climaxes and twists, which is what keeps it heavy in the thriller aspect for me. It's not hard to follow, but it's distracting in a way when there is so much stuffed into the film. Everything is centered around the mystery of Sandy and her death. And leading up to the variety of climaxes in the story, you believe that this is a relatively straightforward in terms of Sandy's ghost would like to rest in peace, and the only way to do so is to show this woman who's staying in her room the memories of her life and wants her to Scooby-Doo this mystery together.
Please, Scooby-Doo this crap.
That plotline alone is enough for this film, especially with the themes of prostitution in the 60s added. But it goes even further. It adds a love story. It adds a dress being built for a fashion show. It adds a twist that Sandy is alive. It asks you to question the actions of an abused woman who chose to murder those attempting to exploit her. The spectrum of emotions that Sandy is alive, she murdered the men, is attempting to murder Ellie, and then half-ass repents and fire is too much. All of that happens in less than 30 minutes. All of this creates that long runtime that I mentioned before, but at the same time, a lot of this isn't brought up until the very end, so it feels off pace for the whodunit theme of the film that is present for 3/4 of it. This is by no means a bad movie. I enjoyed a lot of it. This is a very good movie to dissect and discuss because it's not the sum of its parts. But viewed as an entire body of work, Last Night in Soho needs work. Did it want to be a film about mental health? Prostitution? Both? Did you want to channel the Night House vibes with the personification of mental illness? If you did, you didn't flesh it out because I have no frame of reference for why Ellie was able to have these dreams. It made more sense when Sandy was dead. I can make the ghost thing stretch. But why would Ellie have such dreams if Sandy's alive? If Sandy's keeping her story secret, why would Ellie have these dreams? Maybe you'd counter and say that the souls of the dead men were behind everything. The souls of the men knew what happened in Sandy's life, and they were able to project dreams to Ellie in not only a first, but a third-person perspective, and showed Sandy being stabbed and not the man that she actually killed. See, that doesn't make a lot of sense either. It's a clear plot hole critical to a core aspect of the movie that ultimately creates the interesting themes that the movie wants us to discuss and think about. That's a huge flaw. 6 out of 10 on the official BlackmansLog scale.